What's up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat Kane here again after another win. St. John's finally starting to look more and more like the team we had hoped they'd be coming into the season. They beat Colgate 82-64, a game they led all the way through. They were up by as much as 23 points at one point in the second half, ended up winning by 18 points. Colgate never really threatened them. A lot of good things. A lot of positives. Like I said, a lot of things starting to shore up as we move towards Big East season, which is what we all wanted to see, right? So we're 8-2, a 2-point loss on the road to Indiana. No shame there. And a 20-point home loss to Kansas. Obviously, you hope it was more competitive, but a loss to Kansas, nothing to worry about there. So no blemishes on the resume. We got the wins we needed to get, although some of them weren't as pretty as we hoped. We got the wins. Forget about how we got them. They're wins now. The resume counts. The Big East has been so good that as long as we're at a point where we haven't hurt ourselves, we'll have plenty of chances where we can help ourselves and start climbing that ladder. But tonight, I thought the offense really took a step in the right direction. I say really too many times. We're starting to get more looks that we want, not just shots that we're getting. You can tell we're getting a concerted effort to work the ball, get a good look, attack the basket. Posh again was great in that regard, looking to score for himself, open up things for others, and doing that. The bigs off the bench today, Wheeler, Stanley showed a lot of life. Wheeler especially. You know, you could say that those shots just went in the first half, and that's why he looked really good. But he was active on the press. He was getting on the floor once or twice. He blocked a few shots. He was getting hands on the passing lane. So it was a lot of things that added to the fact that he got an easy basket and hit a nice three. The second half, the shots didn't fall. Took 2 threes. Both of them were pretty ugly. That one almost took a chip out of the backboard, and but he still was active on defense. He was still moving his feet, was still making some good things happen out there. So not a lost cause, a guy who seems like he's got to get motivated to play, and hopefully he got the message that Coach Anderson was trying to sell him. And I don't want to go overboard at all, and this is something that just struck me as perhaps a comparison, something that we could look back at is Coach Lavin's first year, Dwight Hardy and the boys, where we went on that really good run. We struggled in the off season, or the out of conference. I'm sorry, we lost to Fordham, St. Bonaventure, I think, and then we got that huge win against Duke to kind of start the season up. We had I think we had a few wins in the Big East before then, but that really kickstarted us. And in that game, Sean Evans, who was a senior big man who hadn't found his way under Coach Lavin, really the only one of those seniors who hadn't really got going yet, finally got unhinged, and his transformation throughout that season as to another quality big off the bench, a physical guy who could really change the game, along with Burrell, really changed the dynamic of that team. I'm not saying Stanley is the same player Evans is. Physically, they're completely different, but they're both bigs. They're both experienced. They're both kind of mercurial. Did I ever use that word right? And we saw Wheeler's ability to change a game. You know, his athleticism is something that can give some bigs fits, especially against slower teams and bench bigs. If he hits a three, that's gravy. Don't take any ones that aren't wide open, But if he buys into that role, energy big off the bench, which Sean Evans did, it could really change our, the complexion of the team, I think. So good things from Wheeler, Stanley too. They both played fantastic in the first half. Those two bigs, when NY got his second foul, Soriano, he did good on the boards tonight. Didn't give us anything offensively. He looked slow out there, and I've been one to defend him throughout the year. I think he moves better than you would hope. A guy that size, if he moved any better than this, you'd be saying he's fast. He's not fast. He's slow compared to our other bigs, but he's not. I don't think he's the most uncoordinated big we've ever seen. However, tonight I thought he looked slow against the Colgate front line. He just wasn't moving as well inside the paint. He's always going to struggle on the perimeter, trying to switch, trying to guard guys out there. But tonight I thought in the paint he looked slower than usual. So we'll see how that develops. Hopefully he can get the same message that Wheeler did. Speaking of guys coming off the bench, I thought before we get to Pinzone, I thought Smith, again, in his role, he didn't shoot too well. think he was only 3 for 9. 3 for 9, but 19 minutes off the bench. He had 7 points. He was aggressive attacking. He went 1 for 4 from three. So he didn't shoot it well, but I think that role is a better utilization of him, more defined. He comes in, he looks to create baskets for himself, and doing so opens things up for other guys. And he doesn't have to worry so much about fitting in with the rest of the guys in the starting lineup. Not that, it's a chemistry thing. I just think he's used to being the man throughout his career at Vermont, and him coming off the bench is more comparable to that role. And plus, you're playing against guys on the bench, so it's obviously, easier matchups, and hopefully he can exploit that. Rafael Penzone, the freshman, all right, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He did have 2 turnovers. He was 6 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from three. He did it in a variety of ways. He got to the basket, made passes. He got to the basket, finished with floaters. He got all the way to the basket, finished with layups. Hit a couple threes. Hit a nice pull-up mid-range jump shot. He just looked really smooth out there. And his size is a different aspect than Smith. Even Wusu, who's a bit bigger for a guard, he doesn't really get up on his shots. He can't really get to a mid-range spot, pull up, and get a shot over guys. He plays lower to the ground. Smith, Alexander, Wusu, they're not really going to shoot over guys as easily as a lot of guards will. And Pinzon gives you that size. And he was showing pretty much everything in his bag tonight. And I think we got a serious piece, a guy who can play a multitude of positions, fit in well within the system. I'm not, breaking any news here. I think the majority of fans are really excited about Pinzon, and tonight was more reason to be excited. The starter. Well, I think I just want to point out the bench tonight. We had 34 points off the bench compared to 8 points for Colgate. So, our bench was the most productive bench in the Big East last season. And that's a big part. Obviously, we play more guys, so you're going to rely on the bench a little bit more. But if you're outproducing teams' benches by 10, 15, sometimes 20 points, that's a big advantage and a big relief to your starters who sometimes need that extra lift. A couple things I wanted to point out too, not so much negatives, but things we got better throughout the game. In the first half, Colgate out-rebounded us 21-18. And on the offensive end, they were getting some putbacks. In the second half, we out-rebounded them 23-14. So we turned that around completely in the second half. We were able to, enforce our will a little bit more. We got that lead up to 23 points, and then it was just, kind of coasting from there. We only had 6 turnovers as a team. That's a really good number. It's a number that has been too high far too often throughout the season, so to see us sure that up was good. We did force 16 turnovers still, so that's a plus 10 turnover advantage is awesome. It's going to win you a lot of games. And then 32 points in the paint compared to Colgate's 20. So we out-rebounded them, outscored them in the paint, took better care of their basketball, and we got better bench production. We shot 40% from three. We were 10 for 25 as a team. Colgate, 13 for 35. That's 37%. That's still a really good number. That's something that we still got to, sure up. Colgate was putting them up a lot. And 37%'s a number that could beat you. So still something we got to work on. We do have some small guards, so guys are going to get some good looks, but no excuse not to at least keep guys at a 34 to 35% as a team. If you're allowing teams to shoot 37, 38, 39% from three, you're doing something wrong. What else? The starters. Okay. NY started again and got 2 quick fouls. He only had 8 minutes. I can't remember if he started in the second half. I think he started again in the second half, but only 8 minutes total. No points, no rebounds, 3 fouls. So he must have started the second half. Got the third foul. Never got anything going. Missed his mid-range jump shot. Those fouls kept him out of the game. I don't think he played poorly, but it was a combination of the other bigs really stepping up and keeping him on the bench. Champagny, 26 minutes, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. All right, I know for a fact he had 2 blocks. What is going on? What's up, stat guy? All right, how many times am I going to know that we're missing stats for our guys? I know for certain he had 2 blocks. He had 1 in the first half, 1 in the second half. I guarantee it. Wusu, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, no turnovers. Champagne had no turnovers. Pash had 3 turnovers. Smith had 1 turnover. Pinzone had 2. No one else had a turnover. 6 to the team, so that's great. Wusu I thought was good, solid. I'm getting annoyed by how many charges he's taken. Imagine how annoyed the other teams are feeling. I mean, sooner or later, I think I might catch up to him, especially in the post. But he's a smart, heady guy. He's takes it in that chest, and if he sells it well enough, it looks like he must have got hit by a train. Because if you're knocking him over, you must have got hit good. But like I said, I don't think uh, it's going to work as often as it's been working throughout the season. We'll see. Hopefully, it does. He's taking a bunch of charges, and I'm a huge fan. Hit another 3 tonight. Look good. Posh, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 3 turnovers, 7 for 14 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. So still struggling from 3, but 7 for 12 from 2. Really, really efficient inside the paint, finishing at the basket, mid-range jump shots, creating for others, making things happen when he's not, having assists. He's still breaking down defenses more so now that he's off the ball a little bit more, scoring a lot more. Still really surprised by how much he's scoring. It's great. 30 minutes. He played the most minutes on the team. Played great defense. Just an awesome game. I think he was the MVP tonight. It was between him and Champagne. Champagne had 5 threes. He's 5 for 7. I will say one thing, and maybe people be upset by this. If those are the shots Champagne takes, which he can make 5 of 7 of those threes, 7 of 12 overall, he's fully capable of doing that. But if those are the shots he gets, he's going to have some off nights. All right, they weren't fantastic looks. A lot of them were contested jump shots that he's a good enough player to make. A lot of them were, shots that he took 1 or 2 dribbles and took a jumper with some guy contesting. They weren't wide open jump shots for the majority of them. A lot of them were what you would call, tough shots. And he's capable of making those. And if he's set up inside the paint, he rarely misses. If he's set up with an open 3, he makes a great percentage of them. If he's making those shots, he can have 6 for 18 nights, on nights when they're not falling, when he's taking those shots. And I don't want this to sound like I'm upset with the way he played. He played absolutely fantastic. He was 5 for 7 from 3, but we could have easily looked at tonight and he could have been 2 for 7 with those shots he took. And if he's 2 for 7, do we have people complaining that he's not shooting well enough? They're just the same shots. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. We got to make sure he's getting the best shots possible. So I still am going to say I think we can utilize him better in terms of getting shots for him and other guys. And we saw a few of that tonight. Pick and rolls, pick and pops between him and Wusu a couple times, using him as a pin down screener. So I'm saying these things and saying I hope we see him, but we are seeing more and more of it. So obviously, Coach Anderson is listening, and we'll talk later tonight when he calls. But until then, hopefully, we can see more of that. Kidding, obviously, it's Coach Van who calls. What else? Yeah, Mathis was 2 for 8, 0 for 2 from 3. So his first real off night offensively in a while, but still, I thought defensively he does a bunch for you. Obviously, people have been pointing that all year in the passing lanes, harassing guys when they're when they're ball handling, helps you out in the glass. Had a couple nice passes again. So not an awful night, even though he didn't really get things going offensively. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys play more than 10 minutes more than 15 minutes off the bench. Stanley, Wheeler, Soriano, Pinzone, Smith, all played more than 15 minutes. All played less than 20 minutes. That's a nice little fit right there. I think 10 to 15 range, and then the 25 to 30 range for your top 4 guys in the starting crew would be a good mix, depending on who's feeling what in each particular game. Coburn didn't get going again. 7 minutes, didn't score. 0 for 1 from the field. Nothing else. He's got a lot on his slate with academics. He's struggling to get going. He's found himself at the bottom of the depth chart now. So hopefully he can, stay focused, stay determined, not get too down, and can find his rhythm at some point throughout the year. It's always an added bonus to have a guy who's capable of hitting threes. And we've seen him hit open threes earlier in the year. It's been a long time. But if he's got an open three, I think he's got a good chance of making it. He's got to become more comfortable in what not to do. You know, don't be so much of a ball handler or creator. Don't find yourself in situations where you being sloppy with the basketball is going to hurt yourself and the team. All right, spot up, move the ball quickly when you don't have the shot. Use your athleticism to get some steals, some boards. I don't want to sound like it's easy or I know all the answers here. I don't, but I think there's still a role for him to be found, and hopefully he's able to fight through this and produce at some point during the season. But St. John's, again, moving in the right direction, some positives, turnovers down, rebounding better, bench production, guys finding their roles. Negatives, another guy still beat us. We let a guy named Ferguson, who averages 10 points, score 23 points. He hit 7 threes. So for some reason, we let one guy get hot. Hey, when you win by 18 points, it doesn't hurt you. But who knows? I thought overall, in the second half, our defensive intensity did look more like a team that gets the job done. In games past, St. Francis, Monmouth, what else? There was another game at NGIT. We didn't close the door. All right, we let teams hang around. Tonight, we kind of put our foot on the gas and finished them off. So that was good to see. All right. But guys, thank you for listening to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. One thing, let's just throw this out here. I've been on Twitter a lot more this year, underneath the St. John's hashtag, reading it on there, and we get a lot of good stuff, and there's a lot of shit. Obviously, St. John's fans get a bad rap for complaining and whatnot, and maybe it's not even a bad rap. We do complain. We do argue. We do sometimes make ourselves look like fools. And there's nothing worse than two guys arguing on Twitter who are trying to make the same point and they don't realize it. Or there's two guys who are so far off on points. One guy thinks, in years past, one guy thinks Tariq Owens is better than Isaiah Moore. Okay? Just an old example. And they don't want to budge at all. Okay? So this guy's an idiot, that guy's an idiot because they disagree. Come on the pod. Let's discuss it in real time. All right? I'll arbitrate, mediate. Okay? Unbiased. Third party. If you guys find yourselves on complete disagreement on any topic St. John's related, maybe you think Steph Smith should start over Wusu. Maybe you think Soriano should never play. Maybe you think Soriano needs to play 30 minutes. Let's talk it out, all right? Because we probably don't disagree nearly as much as you think the guy on Twitter disagrees with you, all right? I'm done preaching. Thank you guys for listening to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, call your mother, call your father. All right. For Eric Barkley, this has been Pat Kane. Peace.